Today I'm going to share my fabric journal with you, and we're going to make the cover of a new one. Ciao dear hearts, welcome back to our channel, and for those of you who are brand new, my name is Caterina. I'm a professional mixed media artist, and my husband Don Digison is behind the camera, and we want to thank you for all of your subscriptions. If you like what you see on our channel, please subscribe, and we want to thank you for your shares. Oh my gosh, so many shares, and thumbs up, and all your wonderful comments. Thank you so much. We also want to thank you for using our recommended products and for using our Amazon links. That helps our channel out so much. And thank you so much for your very generous donations. Thank you, we appreciate it. And so now we're going to get started. We're going to flip through my journal. I'm going to share with you about it, and then we're going to make the cover. I had the idea of making a fabric journal, and it isn't something that I normally do because you know I don't really care for floppy pages. But I don't know why, I just had it in my head that I wanted to make something that you didn't really have to worry about the spine. I know how everyone is terrified of spines. And it would just be fun to stitch, and it would be a good slow stitch project. And so that's what I decided to do. And I just got all my scraps out and started just piecing them together and stitching them. And so, let's see, I want to open it kind of in the middle to show you. So it lays quite flat on the inside. So this is the outside cover, and today we're going to make one. We're going to make the outside cover, and then in the next videos we're going to make the pages, we're going to stitch them in the book, we're going to finish the book. It takes quite a few steps, and it takes a bit of drying time, but I just think it turned out really yummy. This is a transfer on fabric from a little actually it was a photocopy of a pretty famous painting, actually, and then this is just antique paper that I've stitched on here too with the fabric, and these are tea dyed. All of them are tea dyed, and some of them have faded beautifully. This was a pink tea dye, and I really love the way the colors came out, and so we're going to share all of that. So this is the inside. And this is an old tablecloth, and this is an old tea towel, and I love how you can see through it to the image on the inside. And this is a book without words. I mean, you can't read this. There are no words describing it, but I'll tell you the story. So this is a woman who's received information from a letter, so she has learned something. And when you open it up, you see the tea towel, and that there's an image underneath. And I didn't realize when I was doing it, but I was thinking about my aunt who passed away on March 27. What happens sometimes is I'll start creating something, and I just pick the things that interest me, that I'm drawn to in the moment. So you can see there's kind of a sad figure here. And moving on, the pages are antique paper, and I'm going to share with you how to do that. And we added a little page here, and so that was kind of fun. And then I just love the juxtaposition with the words underneath this page. And then slow stitching pieces onto the fabric. And the way I got around the floppiness was I used magic size on these. So you could use a starch to do it too, or you could use my tissue paper technique to you know, stiffen the fabric up a little bit. And this page, you remember, this came from a slow stitch, and I absolutely LOVE loved it, so I had to add it. And then the back had lots of stitching, as you remember, so I just added a piece here. I may add some other pieces here, but I love the stitching on the back, so I didn't want to hide it. I wanted to emphasize it. This figure here, an antique from a book, and then some slow stitching that I did. And then this piece too, thinking about home and what home means and how to create home. And and then I love this piece that doesn't, it's too small for the page. I think that's just really yummy, heartbreakingly beautiful. And then some slow stitching here, and this little piece of lace to adorn the page. This is probably one of my favorite spreads. I love this, and I'll share with you how to create these. This piece is an antique piece of note paper from a record book, from one of those old, what do you call them, honey? Those accounting books. That's what it was. Yeah, an accounting book. So anyway, it's just glued down here. You flip it up, and then there's another piece here. So we're talking about transitions, and then this final page here on this, it says Trinity in Christ, and then this image here is it's a transfer on fabric, and of course creation here. And then I love this piece. It has a little piece of document paper. Actually, it's an antique piece of paper that's stitched in here. And then on the last page we have a little pocket, so we can put little things in, little bits that I may use for the rest of the book. And then the back cover again. And I'm going to share with you how we created it all. But we're going to start with a brand new book, a new cover. So to begin to make the cover, I tea-dyed some old fabric, and I used chai tea because it smells good and I drink it, and I used English breakfast, and I used hibiscus because I like a little bit of pink color going on, and I love the look of it when it fades and it has kind of like a little orangey kind of shimmer to it. Anyway, and I know everybody's going to ask me, how did I get the little splotches? And the way I did that was I put them in a shallow dish, poured the water in, and I scrunched them up, and I let them dry that way. So, and then, yes, I did iron it with magic size, and so it's a little bit stiffer because you want it. You don't want to really be working with a lot of wrinkles. You want to be able to go ahead and start, to compose your collage in fabric and paper, and then be able to stitch it and to do that easily. And we have a special trick today. We're going to be using a regular gel matte medium rather than any kind of fabric glue or any other kind of, we're only going to use a glue stick to just hold things down while we're stitching certain things. But that's going to be in, later on in the book. Right now, we're going to be using regular gel matte mediums. So I love the rough edge of this, and I have folded it so that we have a really clear fold. So that's going to tell us where we're going to stitch our first signatures into, and then we'll stitch them on the other side. And so I decided, I've gathered some bits and pieces that I really love, and I thought all of these looked really beautiful with this fabric and really kind of show it off. And love this piece. Isn't that just gorgeous? I think it would be so pretty on a corner, an edge, and then this piece too, and then this piece, and some of these. And then I did this was a tiny little scrap of an image, and I blew it up, and then I made a transfer on fabric. And so we may use that. I'm not sure if we're going to do it or not, or if we're just going to like the book as an abstract book. So we'll see how it goes. But we're definitely going to rip it up and see if it fits into our composition. I love this up here, but I don't want to cover up this. I think that's really so pretty. So I think we're going to put it down here, and I'm going to go with the lace here. Now, if we're going to use this, And we may, we'll have to see. Yes, I'm going to rip it. I know you guys are going to, some of you are going to just freak out. But yeah, we're going to rip it. And then we're going to cut it. And we may end up ripping it again. So if we do use this image, then I will cut this away and stitch on the other side so we don't use the whole thing, because you know, why would we waste that, right? So we won't do that. So we're just gonna, I love the sound of cloth ripping. It's just, it's awesome. It's really a cool sound, especially when you're creating something brand new and different. I have her ripped up pretty nicely. I like the way that looks. And I moved this from the bottom to the top because then it frames her in there really nicely. And I like this piece here. And I'm not sure about this, maybe. So whatever is going to be on our spine here is going to be stitched right in. So I don't want it to be too heavy. I want to think about that. And, you know, the placement of everything. So, and I like this piece. I'm not crazy about this bottom piece. So I'm just going to, I think we're just going to cut it out. That's better. Okay, so get rid of that. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I like that. And I'm gonna look for some script. So I'm just still playing with the pieces. And as much as I love this piece, it just doesn't work for me. So it's just gonna have to go someplace else. And I'm thinking that we're gonna do something like this here. And I am gonna keep this whole piece on here because I just think it's beautiful, and it's just lovely. And I'm thinking about possibly using a piece there. Okay, so I'm starting to like this now better. And I probably won't use this whole piece, but definitely it continues this. And I like that. Okay, so now we're going to glue these down. I've mixed a little bit of water with my gel matte medium, which is going to make our page kind of wet. You don't want a lot of gel medium on here because it's going to make it super plastic and it's going to be really hard to slow stitch. And that's not what we want. The whole idea is that we're going to be stitching the fabric. So you want to make sure you can get your awl and your needle and your thread through here, right? So we're going to poke this down just like that. Ooh, and I need my gloves on. Okay, we're getting there. So we're just going to glue this down. And we're not using a ton of glue, as I said, and we are using some water. And you can see it's going to soak through a little bit, but that's okay because we are going to stitch it, right? So basically the glue is going to give the fabric a little more substance, and it's going to hold it in place, but you want it to stand up. So you want to have a little bit of the glue on there, but not so much that it's really super hard for you to get your needle and your thread through, right? So, and in some of the places, like on her, because she is pretty plastic, we're going to use a little bit extra. We just remember that that's where we put it so that and this isn't quite straight, so I'm going to lift that up. Now you can use a glue stick to do this, but what I'm going to tell you is it's going to be pretty floppy with the glue stick. So it's totally up to you what you want to do. It's your book. I'm just sharing what I did and what I've been doing. So, okay, just a little bit more water and we'll get this piece down.
I love being able to see through with the lace to the other fabric or to this lace. I just think that that's just, I don't know, it just kind of takes my breath away to be able to see through things. I think it's just so cool. My collage is almost completely dry. It's still a little bit damp, but not bad. So almost everything is glued down quite well. And now I'm going to start stitching it, just slow stitching. And just adding to the design. I just think it's really a nice touch. And of course I didn't put a knot back here, I just tacked it down. And I'm going to do it again. Now you can get real fancy with your stitches if you want. I'm not a fancy stitch kind of person, as you know from seeing my other videos on slow stitching. And I just sorry, I lose my train of thought when I'm stitching sometimes. Just one, you know, needle going in, coming back, it starts becoming a little bit mesmerizing, if you know what I mean. Usually I stitch from the outside and then I can see the back to see where I stitched it. But because this is tea-dyed, it's really hard. So I'm going to use my awl and kind of poke through there. That's better. And I'm just going to outline some stitches and embellish it, but it will also hold the composition down without having to have glue on every single thing. So there is a reason for it, but it's also about just being peaceful and just being in the moment and putting all of your bits to work. Now, if you don't want to slow stitch it, don't just glue it down. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings. It's your book, right? So do what you want. But I personally just love the look of tiny stitches. And for me, stitching gives it another dimension. It gives it a mark that's not drawn from a pencil or a pen, or, you know, it's not a line from a piece of photocopied paper, or, you know, it's another mark of intention, and I love it. One of the intentions for me about slow stitching is that it adds a sense of serenity and peacefulness. When I see something that's machine stitched on a piece of art, I just think it almost looks like a blur to me. Like it just went by so fast. Now, if you want to machine stitch, make it faster, that's great. It's just, to my eye, that's what it looks like. So I really like the way that slow stitching looks. And then also I wanted to let you know that when you are stitching through antique paper, you definitely want to coat it with gel matte medium front and back. So it will be more plastic, but if you don't do that, it's not going to wear very well. So just to let you know about that. And I did do that. So and it has to be done for the pages too, which we'll get to in the next video, but right now we're just going to concentrate on stitch after stitch and tacking it all down. One of the things that I do when I'm slow stitching is I don't really think about where it's going. I just let my needle have a wander, and it just kind of goes where it wants to go. So I might do this and then I'll come over here and do this part. I mean, it's just wherever, you know, the easiest place for my needle to go. I'm not really thinking about it. The only thing that I really did think about was this contrasting color here, that I liked that, and the continuity that that'll give to the front and the back cover. The other thing that I love about slow stitching is you don't have to have fancy equipment. All you need is a needle and thread. You don't have to have a whole range of embroidery floss, but if you do, you know, you can use that. But for me, I just grabbed the quickest, closest thing, which is right behind me over this side, and that's all my threads. You know, it's just like, it's what I think of to stitch with. And I just love the simplicity of it. I really do. Yep. And I'm just going to do this little bit here, and we'll be done with our cover. I am almost finished with this, and I really, really love it. I think it's really awesome. And I have to tell you that I decided to use this because Dawn really liked it. So I was just going to make an abstract, at least that was my thought, was that it would be completely abstract. But he said, no, I really like that image. I think you should use it.
It's pretty.
So, voila. Now, why are you giving me a hard time? There we go. Into here. And back out. We're almost at ciao for now. I love the string hanging down from that. That's just beautiful. Gorgeous. Dare I say yummy. Okay. There's our cover. That's the front cover, the back cover, the inside, which will all get snipped down and cut up. And woohoo! Well, we're at ciao for now, and I really enjoyed slow stitching and collaging with fabric and paper today with you, and I hope you give it a try. And the size is about 5.5 by 7.5. You can make your book any size you want to, obviously, but tea dye a few things or any kind of natural dye, and then work it into a really long, like patchwork abstract. If you want to throw in an image, that's great, so that we can get the pages going next time. Next time you come back, we're going to do all the pages. We're going to get them stitched in here, and we're going to have a little book on its way. So I can't wait to see you then. Until then, ciao for now.